Now, I've had my MT09 for just a little bit over a year now, and I've worked desperately to get the front end of the bike the way I wanted it. I did a lot of research on what windshield I wanted to have. I really spent a lot of time on the internet looking at other people that had customized bikes and what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them. And when I got the bike, and here it is with the white front fender or the gray front fender, and some of the things that tail light that I don't know, I call it the tail light from hell. Anyway, it took me quite a while. I got the Graves tail light put on it, the plate holder, polished the exhaust, but that front end always bothered me. That front end always looked wrong. Well, a year later, today I put the final parts of it together and got back and took a couple of pictures of the finished product, and I love it. Well, we're in the middle of the holiday season here, and of course, time is limited. I actually ran out of time yesterday, right in the middle of something. I wasn't keeping track of the time, but we're still getting a couple hours of shop time every day, and what I wanted to do today is a really simple thing. I have some detail things I want to do, and I know people don't realize, I didn't actually at one time either, how important little details are to make a bike your own. So I want to share a quick little story. You notice on the FZR restoration, I went out of my way to get all stainless steel bolts. First, the stainless steel bolts never rust. They polish up beautifully, and that's an important part of this restoration. But there's another thing. This bike, when I originally got it, of course, this bike had been crashed. I'm sure of it because everything was bent. And when I tightened the bolts that had the original windshield, the windshield cracked. And I fixed the crack. And then I bought another windshield from Circle Cycle, had a windshield. We did a couple day track days, and that one cracked. And I said, oh, I'm stressing out the windshield. And then I went to take the windshield out, and this is the thing of the day. I went to take it out, and these were aluminum bolts. And in my own lack of knowing what I was doing, I had Loctited aluminum bolts. Well, you can imagine, these strip right out, and you're stuck. You got to try to get it out with vice grip pliers and stuff. So I made a vow. I'm never going to use those aluminum bolts anymore. I wanted steel bolts, and so that was my number one thing, was to get steel bolts. Now, even on the 650 restoration, I was real important to get steel, not aluminum. Now, when I got this windshield, and it's an inexpensive windshield, it's only $26, what had happened is the bolts are steel, and they have these ugly covers. So what I wanted to get is black bolts that were a little more flush to the windshield. Had to order them from China, of course, and they came in, and it looks like exactly what I need to do. Now, because I made that carbon fiber part that's inside, I thought at least the spare bolts I can use. You won't see the shiny bolts. The black will kind of hide that a little bit. And they came 10 bolts, and I really only need 4, so I can put the 4 mounting bolts, the 4 that hold the windshield, and they are steel. They are not aluminum. Now, being honest, I had to shop around to find steel bolts that were black. This was not as easy as I thought it would be. And of course, they have the standard 5mm and the nylon washers, black nylon. The whole idea, anybody that's an artist knows, or anybody that works in the fashion industry knows, if you want something to disappear, you paint it flat black. If you want to look bigger than you really are, put all white. That's how football teams always want to wear the white jerseys, so they look bigger. Anyway, that's what I've heard as a football player myself. But anyway, I want these bolts. I wish they could just minimize the contact. They are flat black. I can't believe I'm adding a flat black part to the bike, but I am. And it's from Amazon, and this was, I think, $7. And it's a little detail. It's like the little Yamaha, the gel sticker, the little bolts, the little carbon fiber pieces, everything. Because cleaning up this front end of the bike was one of my goals from the day I bought the bike. I don't mind some of the other styling cues it gives you. In fact, I love the carbon fiber fender. I love the shape of the tank. The seat is as comfortable as can be. The things I'm not crazy about, this I didn't like at all. But I worked with it for over a year. The other thing I didn't like is like a lot of Japanese bikes, well, a lot of bikes period, The rim, the outer rim is smooth, but they leave all the casting flaws on the wheels, and I want to make the wheels custom, and of course I want to make them silver. I'm going to mix my own paint. That's coming up. And I did mix my own paint on this. All these are out on my channel. All of the wheel jobs, and the whole thing here is sanding. There's hours and hours of sanding the casting flaws out. But when you're done, it's a whole new animal. And last year's project, the GS wheels and that matching stripe, I think it changed the whole look of the bike. And I've got two sets of wheels for the Kawasaki. I've got green wheels and these wheels, and that helps me evil twin the bike out whenever I want in a very short amount of time. And it's very convenient to just have a spare set of wheels. That is the ultimate inconvenience. So really, as I'm trying to set the stage for the silver wheels, I'm going to make my own silver paint. I want to do a thorough test, and I have some ideas of some tricky stuff I want to do. But the biggest part of doing the silver wheels for the MT09 is going to be getting rid of all the casting flaws. And that's, of course, it's a very inexpensive bike. This bike was difficult to do because those wheels are hand buffed. And all of these wheels, as labor intensive as they are, it doesn't even matter when they're done because you have them for the rest of your life. So step one is I want to go inside and have some coffee. It's really brutally cold out here. I want to see, I still have the parts on this. I have to buff them out. We were cut off yesterday at the pass. I want to get the little eyebrows installed, but the first thing I want to do, I'll have a cup of coffee and then take care of that windshield. And of course this time of year there's no end to the maintenance. It seems like it's worse every day. But we're coming up on the end of the leaf season. We haven't had the pond freeze up yet, and then when it does, our maintenance is minimized. We just have to chop ice every day. Well, in our farm for the whole summer was producing vegetables. It was a wonderful memory, and getting this all set up the way it was. Thank you again, Joe Padula. Gave me a whole day with his truck. Get these stones in place, and we had a great summer with that. Ooh, I smell cookies. Cookies. And it's right around freezing right now, and it's not really fun being out in the garage. Not as much as I thought it would be. Oh, the cookies are in the oven. I feel oh my God, what a day this is going to be. So while I'm busy, look at what the bride is doing. What are these? These are more cookies, Christmas cookies?
Yes,
what
and
a surprise.
These are going to get iced.
These get icing?
Yes.
Holy mackerel.
Christmas trees and snowmen.
I may not make it to the new year. Holy mackerel, these look so good.
This is called the peanut blossom.
Okay, with the chocolate in the middle?
Peanut butter cookie with a chocolate kiss.
I love Christmas. That has nothing to do with the cookies. Oh, they look so good when they're in the oven, and this house smells so good. Oh my God, when you're trying to get some work done, all you think about is the cookies. Now, you know, I'm authorized by Santa Claus to do cookie testing. Oh my God. Don't touch that one. That one's going down the shop with me. And of course, Grandma doesn't make any cookies for the birds. Oh my God, what a great holiday season we're having. Now, it's always amazing to me how one little detail can change a whole bike. Will make it so much different. Now, if you're willing to live with silver bolts, well, I'm not. But getting these off, I had put a drop of epoxy on because I was afraid I'd lose one and I'd be riding around like that until the new bolts came in. I thought I'd show this because this really is a good tip. I've got a whole, I bet I have 100 of them. And I bought these off the internet one time. Luciano found a source for them. And we were thinking how cute they'd look and everything. But look what happened. You see where the Allen bolt goes? And I had thought, again, and I'm trying to pass on useful information here. If you Loctite that or over tighten it, this is what happens. It just strips out, and now you got to use some other method to get it off, and it's by a plexiglass windshield. Not a really great idea. I just think it's worth $7 to get steel bolts. And if you look at my bolt collection, there's gold ones, blue ones, red ones, and I'm not using any of them. The first thing I wanted to do is take the windshield completely off because I want to take the 4 bolts. The black bolts will be a little bit of a just a cosmetic upgrade. Again, I was real careful when I put this on that these bolts just drop right in. They're not under any stress. I don't want to crack the windshield. The And I have thought of course, it's still on my mind. I want to get, after Christmas, I'll look around. If there's still $27, I may buy a spare one, just so if I crack this, or I want to paint it, or paint the bottom, or I was thinking of other cute things you could do and put 09 up here. I haven't figured it out yet. That's not how many times I've taken this windshield on and off. Hard to believe that. From Amazon, $26.95, $9 shipping. And all the hardware you need to make you happy on a project like this. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty decent windshield for 27 bucks. All right, so the first step is these bolts. I'm just going to replace the bolts. I was happy the way the clock worked out the other day. Boy, that worked out perfectly. I can't believe how nice that looked. And all of this is as solid as a rock, and everything is rubber mounted, and everything lines up nice. And it's all on previous videos. It seems like that would be a lot of work, but in the end I have a nice laid back windshield, and I've kind of covered that area that I wasn't real happy with from a styling point of view. Now, the reason it's so worth to me to do this work on the front of the bike is because I love the performance of the bike. It's comfortable, it suits my riding needs, it suits the area that I ride in, and it's got all these safety features. And Karen got it for me for my birthday. So it's worth for me to put this time into this motorcycle. And it's just like the RD. It's worth it to me to preserve these bikes, because I don't know that you could even buy one at any amount of money, that you could buy one that really suited your riding needs and that you were happy with. And I certainly could never buy another one that Karen got me for Valentine's Day. Again, thank you, Karen. Now the idea here will be to replace one bolt at a time, because I don't want to lose the alignment I've already established here. I already have it that all my rubber biscuits are in really good alignment. I don't want to lose that. So the ultimate here, you just look at how something flat black disappears, and I think that'll look a lot nicer. Now, these are a different diameter bolt, so I'm going to have to look for these on the internet or find somewhere to get some black oxide ones, because I really I would like to not see those bolts if possible. Now, what I think is important is that I spent the time to get these lined up to the point where you could just drop them right in and there was no stress on it. Having that where you gotta bend it over and tight. Getting that part right, it was time consuming, but worth it. These look 1,000 times better than those rubber those rubber biscuits that were on there. That was definitely going to be worth it when I get this all buttoned up. Now, all through this whole installation, I've been very careful not to over tighten the bolts. Boy, I've had such bad luck with the FCR windshield, especially during the track days. I think every time we came back from a track day, the windshield was cracked. But it took me a long time to figure out the do's and don'ts of that whole operation. But it seems like we got this, and I just like the way these bolts look a whole lot better than those big rubber things. Or the silver bolts are the worst of all worlds. So I'm just being real careful about torquing this down. And again, sometimes you're doing this on a windshield that's worth a lot of money. Some of these windshields there's one that I saw, a higher windshield, it's $225. You crack that coffee's not going to taste the same the next day. And right from the get-go, I put a good coat of colonite wax on both sides of this, because I know eventually it's going to get stones, it's going to get little bugs. Once we get to the bug season, I wanted to keep it as nice as possible, of course. One thing about doing small detail changes, you think they're not going to add up. In the end, you go take some pictures of the bike, or you just look at it in real life, and you realize all these little detail changes, they all add up. Now the last thing is I want to get those little blue parts out, install them, and see how they look. Try to get it out in the sun and see if the paint is a perfect match or real close or what. I can't wait to do it. Get in the cellar here and warm up a little bit. Ooh, it's brutal out here. Now to any of my modeling friends, they already know this, but of course I have some friends that this may benefit them. What happens, Karen has an antique glass and candle holder collection that's been in the family, and we've added to it in a time the 30 years we're married. But I wanted to show this because every once in a while, this is what happens. They break. So in the past, we've done fairing repairs and done all kind of body work and everything. Half of the FZR is this material anyway. It's CA. It's from Brodak CA. This is thin. I wanted to show what it's good for besides doing body work on, what do you call it now? We try to get this so it fits, but even if we don't get it fit, it'll be fine. This is kicker. It's actually, I think, Freon, but you just put that there. So now, assuming you don't want to just go buy a new one, or you don't want to do some other, I don't even know what you would do to replace it. Some of these things are irreplaceable. That's pretty good. And one of the things I always think about too is we're trying to share useful information on this channel. How many people might not know about CA? And maybe it just goes over my head, but we use this for so many things. And you buy this from Brodak.com or a hobby shop. Just CA, and if you want, you can get kicker. If you don't have kicker, it just takes longer for it to dry. It's perfectly clear. It's like water, so you don't even see it. And I bet I've fixed so many things for my family and the neighbors. Just I'm trying to find out where this would lock in. But even if it doesn't, it's not a problem. It's perfectly clear. Put a little Freon, a little kicker. Again, you can get this from Brodak.com. It's not high tech. And then what's good is there's a million uses around your house that you can use it for. And I never run out of things to use it for. It's unbelievable. Now, because I was a modeler a big chunk of my life, probably 9/10 of it, I've learned over the years how to repair things and fix things and make things and grind things and drill things and whatever. And all the technology I learned from the years of doing that, I've been able to help. As an example, Karen's glass collection and her dish collection here, and among other things, she has her collections of stuff just like I have the motorcycles. And Brodak CA, it's really, the word is cyanoacrylate, but you just call Brodak, ask for CA. Hey, these are the parts we did yesterday, but we didn't get a chance to buff them out. I'm going to buff them out by hand because they're so small and delicate. It'll be just easier to do it that way. Oh, again, we're using 8065, no big secret. That's been on pretty much every video I've made in the last couple of years. It's good. It's a good product. This just takes time. This is pretty much like buffing out a model airplane. You got to kind of just use a clean microfiber and try not to go through on the edges, and get used to the idea this may take a little time, a little more time than if you used a buffing wheel, that's for sure. So here's the final thing when you hand buff these parts out. The only way I'm ever going to know if this paint is an exact match, two things. First off, it has to be buffed out. The buffing changes the way the light reflects off it, especially in sunlight. Then I've got to look at it under a lot of different lights, under fluorescent light, under incandescent light. Now, most people wouldn't even care about this. They just put the bike out under a tree and look at it. Well, I wanted to make sure, and I was really fussy about this. Dennis mixed up this Chromax paint. The paint is very expensive, and I wanted these parts to be perfect. And you can see how the color changes under different lights. Now, I have different lights in the shop. I usually work in the shop almost all the time under fluorescent lighting, which it shows totally different than when you put it out in the sun. A very different look to the paint. And so they buffed out pretty nice. I'm going to go out and install them, freeze out there for another 10 minutes, and then come back into the house. It is brutally cold out there. I'm glad this will be the end of today's shop projects. Now, it's pretty nice how these parts snap on. They actually, this is pretty nice the way Yamaha did this. They snap. You don't even have to hold them. Then there's one screw, holds them in, and that's all she wrote. Now, it's funny, as I'm working here, the landscaping crew is at the neighbor's yard, and man, it sounds like they got 100 leaf blowers going at the same time. Boy, does that change the bike. That front end, now I'm not only happy with it, I'm really happy with it. I didn't like, well, I don't like anything flat painted, but that flat paint didn't float my boat at all. Now, I always say this, and I'm totally convinced I'm right. It only takes one part of a bike when it's not right, or when you've got it overdone or underdone or something. That little detail and the windshield, this front end now is, when I look back at the pictures of the bike, when I had just gotten it with the gray front fender and this, and now to look at it now with the carbon fender and this whole thing, I think it's a major difference and a major improvement. Now, sorry about the landscaper noise, but I think the color is absolutely perfect. And now we'll be opening the door to painting those side covers. That'll be the next thing. Once we get some shop time. This time of year, shop time is limited. Oh, I like that. I'll tell you, that floats my boat now. Now, when I bought the bike and it had that plain Jane front end, and the white fender was the worst. Now it's got some carbon fiber, it's got the right bolts, some carbon fiber handmade stuff, and the windshield laying back like that. To me, that changes the whole look of the bike. And a final thing, anytime I make a cosmetic change, there's a good lesson I've learned the hard way. A lot of things that look good in a garage with different lighting, when you take them out in the sun, or you look at them from different angles, or if you look at them from high or low or sideways, left side, right side, they look different, or you see something else you want to improve or make different. Now, an example, when I first put the windshield on, first thing, it didn't look bad in the garage. I took it outside and I said, it's got to lay back more. I looked at that right away and I saw it. I didn't like that anyway. And the little blue under the lights, when that was flat gray, I always thought, oh my God, it looks like they primed it and never painted it. I don't know. The clock worked out great. That was on yesterday's video, if I remember. And the windshield, it took me a long time to figure out which windshield I wanted and how I wanted to make that bracketing. And when I got done, now the last thing, I just think it worked out better than I could have ever expected. Very happy with it. Well, I looked at it from every angle, and even from the angle I did a lot of pictures so I could go down and look at it on my computer. This area I like the way the carbon worked out, the clock worked out. The clock will be a big help for me of making sure I get home on time when the farm is in full production. Now that is one of the mods, the mods that I've made to the bike that have satisfied me. And thank you, Vlad, the carbon fiber fender, polishing the exhaust, that little piece. Of course, we're going to do the side covers next, or soon anyway. You never know how this is playing out. Getting rid of those big lumps, the big warts on a windshield, well worth it. A lot of little details, but every one of these details, I guarantee you, if you go down and park it next to a stock bike, you may not notice it right away, but you'll notice it. And as Joe Roselli is famous for saying, you ride the bike you like. I like this bike. I'm willing to spend whatever time it takes to make it my bike. Personalize it, customize it, whatever you call it. That, to me, was a big upgrade. That windshield, and it took me a long time. I've had the bike over a year. It took me a long time to decide what I wanted to do to that front end. But when I do a before and after on my computer, I'm so happy I did it. Now, by having a lot of pictures on my computer, I go down to the computer and I say, oh, here we are, no windshield, no front end parts, white fender. Let's see how it looks now. I like the way the dark fender looks, I like the carbon fiber. Oh, no windshield, oh, but the little carbon parts help, but close but no cigar. Cigar, that looks like a whole lot meaner of a front end. And I look at it, and I look at it from several different angles, and under several different lighting conditions. And in my mind, what I'm saying is, I think the time, the energy, the money, it was all worthwhile. Because now I count it as my bike, and when I look at it, I'm very happy it doesn't look like when I bought the bike. And I think every minute that I've ever spent working on this bike has paid dividends. As I've had the bike now over a year, over 10,000 miles, I really am starting to bond with it. All the little detail changes, even a little clock. Every little thing I've done to it has made it more my bike. I'm getting that bonded feeling that I basically have to all the bikes. But as much as I like customizing a bike and doing all these little upgrades and changes, there's one thing I like the most, and that's riding it. And there's no substitute for just getting on this bike and holding that throttle wide open. So in the last few days, we got Dale's part finished. We got the little MT09 parts. We're ready to start on the side covers. But we are in the holiday season, and I wanted to take this opportunity to wish your family a Merry Christmas from my family. Karen is still decorating. It never ends. In our house, we celebrate all the holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas. It just never ends. And it's a lot of fun. And those cookies are coming out of the oven. There's even more. Every time I think there's an end to the cookies, there's more. So I may have a little weight issue next year, early next year. Anyway, I'll try to work it off by working on motorcycles and sharing video with you. So we are in the beginning of what I hope is going to be a very productive winter shop season. Our schedule usually is we ride right up until the first snow as often as possible, share the rides on video, and then what we try to do is start doing our shop projects and finish them before the riding season starts again. And as I look back at these old pictures of the day I got the bike, I've had it a little over a year, the ugly white fender, the gray fender, unpolished exhausts, and I kept looking around for things I wanted to make this bike my own. Little custom touches. They're all on our video channel. We try to post up a video almost every day, and I think I've been pretty successful about starting right in the beginning when we first got the bike, and right at the very beginning there were things I didn't like. The tail light, for instance, being down by the bottom of the wheel, and polishing up the rims, polishing up the exhausts. A lot of little detail changes, but what makes it all worthwhile to me is the bike suits my riding needs to a T, and it's comfortable, and it gets great over 50 miles a gallon mileage, and it has the performance that I like. I love the stability, the lightweight nimbleness of it. It's very unlike other bikes in my collection, like the R1 or the FZR that are you have to muscle around. This bike, you ride around like it's a bicycle, and it makes you a hooligan. It makes you do things that you really probably shouldn't be doing. It rides the edge of the tire as comfortable as anything I've ever ridden, and because Karen got it for me for my birthday, it's extra special, and I'm willing to spend even more time on it. And I hope you enjoyed sharing the video. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope you share it with your friends, and of course I hope, most of all, that we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks again for watching.